We are live.
Hey
We are totally
kids,
live.
I want to talk about comics. We got
Ex-
the good stuff right here.
exactly. He's got that decimators, that
Oh
iron
man,
sights, got all that good shit.
it is I, the guy who pisses everyone off on the internet just by being me.
Yeah, yeah. It's your superpower. Not that there's
Yeah,
anything wrong with that being your superpower.
you know that line from Die Hard that only John McClane can piss off people like that.
Uh,
That's true. That's true of all the canales that I know of. Because my dad too has that superpower. He pisses people off. Oh man.
see, I don't have that superpower. No. I do have a superpower. It's generally I'm going to overthink things and come with the most logical answer, and then get called an asshole and blocked for it.
So you mean you're the embodiment of that meme, the guys in the board in the meeting room, and the boss say we have a problem, and two of them say some stupid shit, and the third guy says actually something reasonable, and they throw him off the window.
Mm-hmm.
That's you, right?
Pretty much. Like, oh, dude, no, like, fucking number one Marmaduke was just trying to talk to this far left ideologue. She went on this big old rant about tropes with females and entertainment and this, that, and the other. And he's like, I'm perfectly willing to have this conversation with you. Watch this video because, tropes go both ways and there are some problematic
Yeah.
tropes with men. And, he was being respectful and whatnot. This woman literally just gets up there. I'm not what, like, the exact quote. Like, I'll give you Marmaduke's exact quote. Jessica, I'd really be interested to hear what you think about these two videos by Helping Hand about gender issues in a show like Kim Possible. I don't think a discussion about tropes in fiction is helpful if we narrow our focus to only one gender. I think that's fair.
Yeah, no, that's a reasonable assessment.
And she's like, I'm not watching. And mind you, the title of the video is, I called it The Effects of SJW Doublethink. Okay? And she's
Mhm.
like, I'm not watching a video called SJW Doublethink. Get out of my mentions. And then the chorus backup, like, I watched the first 20 seconds and it was like a parody of bad takes. And then yelling back to Jessica, I just blocked this jackass. I swear I already had. Yeah, I swear I already had, but who knows if they just made another account at this point. Christ. At that point, I had to say something because that's just being snarky and rude for the sake of being snarky and rude. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
And blocking him so you can sit there and parade around with all your friends while acting like you done something major, but in actuality all you did is say that you cannot have that conversation because you do not know what you're talking about, and they did not attack you, so you don't know how to respond to it. You can't be like, oh my god, I'm so triggered. This was my response to that. Here's a revolutionary thought. Instead of blocking people and staying in an insulated bubble, how about you actually discuss things, testing your ideology in a debate and seeing if it holds up? All you're doing currently is hiding in an echo chamber, and it does not help anyone.
Oh man, you are actually asking them to pit their beliefs against an opposing point of view. Uh,
Mhm.
no, that's not how it works. See, they deep down they know they're full of shit. Okay, that's why. Uh, I don't know if I guess it happens in the U.S. too, but here we've had like a bunch of not right wing, but moderates constantly challenge mainstream feminists to public debates they never accept. They
Oh,
never has a feminist or an SJW for that matter ever accepted a life challenge because deep down they know they're full of shit. They just don't want to accept it, but they know it.
oh yeah. And to touch in chat, as now that I'm finally able to see chat, because I just realized the chat was hidden by the actual Hangout. Uh, Samurai Raccoon, story of my life. The only thing they haven't done is call me a Nazi. Oh, they've done it. They've done it to me. I think they've done it to Canales on several occasions.
What haven't they told? They call me. They call me every name in the playbook.
Right? Sup Raggedy, sup Spork, sup Cole. Do we have Streamlabs? I think I've set up Streamlabs. I just don't know how to get it to work with my actual stream. So sorry, Random Goon. I am still trying to figure that out. Star Villion, I was the one person waiting, stalking the stream. Yeah, you probably were. No, Star will wait. He'll watch. He's all ninja about it. He's like, I'm gonna wait and insta burn. Try to come back from that bitch. Like
there ain't no coming back, folks.
Exactly. Bruce, how you doing? Let's see. Hey, weird. The dollar be here soon. Word. You can come in if you want, Spork. You already know. You are open.
Yeah, man, we need more people here. It's just Nerd and me.
I know. Why is it that whenever, you were all like, yeah, I'll hop in. It's rarely more than just you and me. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, man. People are already sick and tired of me. I'm everywhere. There's nothing special to have a Canales anymore.
Hey, I'm always happy to have you in the stream.
What up?
What's up, Spork? What's up, Dollar?
Hey, how's it going?
So I got to tell you, you guys are talking about the thing. Did you hear the blow up with Edwin and Nerd and me with Richard Pace?
No, I did not.
Oh, so basically, Richard Pace was calling. Basically, went after Nerd and Nerd's brother, and went after Edwin's wife, and started calling them Nazis because they voted for Trump.
Did anything bring this on? It was just out of the blue.
No, he basically, it all stemmed off of you know who, the name that shall be not named.
She who shall not be named.
Yes.
Oh,
the she who has the hots for me so clearly that it's insulting. You mean?
I know.
Why? I don't know why we are giving these guys a platform. And I even called Richard out for it. I said to him, I said, my quote to him was like, you sit there and you call us bigoted. I said, I have friends and family who are Hispanic and Black who voted for Trump. Are you going to sit there and say to me or to them in front of their face, calling them racist?
Mm-hmm.
No, he won't do that. He'll sit on Twitter and he'll do that stuff, and he'll be protected by being a keyboard warrior. And of course, Edwin's wife is not. She's mixed heritage.
I thought she was a Polynesian.
Yeah. She's part Hawaiian, part Polynesian, so she's a mixed heritage. So to sit there and say, and this is what really irks me, because they call Canales, who is Spanish, who's not even an American, they call him a Nazi. Which he probably would have been, if the Nazis actually had control, he'd probably be lined up with the rest of us right there.
Did I ever tell you guys that my great grandfather was actually the leader of an anarchist cell on a Spanish village, and that he was actually executed by actual fascists during the Francoist regime?
But that doesn't.
Everyone forgets about that. That's like, Franco really gets kind of lost in the current of when everyone talks about Hitler and Mussolini, like the stuff that was going on in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
It was just ridiculously. It lacks description with how atrocious it was.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because. Oh, go ahead, Canales.
No, I was just going to say that Spain was actually the only country in Europe in which the Nazis won. It was the only on account of being theoretically a neutral country, but it actually supported Nazi troops. That we sent divisions to the Russian front and all that. So we Nazis low-key won here.
Yeah, every country, like the Germany, Italy, Japan, they all looked to Spain in terms of their blueprint for what they were going to do to the rest of Europe.
Well, here's another thing that a lot of people don't realize. Where this is what irks me, and I'm of Spanish heritage, and I'm of German heritage, and Italian heritage. So I always say I'm mixed with the 3 worst races in the face of the earth, as a joke. But they don't realize that how bad Germany or how bad Europe was at that time frame, from World War I all the way through, just with the change in government left and right, and they were just assassinating each other, fighting each other. So this is something that wasn't just, and this is what frustrates me. It's like my grandfather fought in Okinawa, almost died in Okinawa against, the Japanese. Yet, these people just toss stuff around like with the word Nazi. Do you know what a Nazi really is? I mean, they don't know what it is, and that's what frustrates me.
Of course not.
It is very frustrating.
For them to understand what a Nazi is, that requires a history lesson. And for them to get that history lesson, that means that they have to actually pay attention to someone with differing views. It's easier for them to just be like, oh, you know what a Nazi was? He's these conservative types and this, that, and the other. It's like, no. They
only know that Nazis... Sorry. I keep being Spanish. I'm not supposed to step over other people's lines.
Oh, you're fine.
Oh, we got Jack in the house.
We do.
Yeah.
Oh, and we got Ninja.
Oh, welcome everybody to our chill comic book stream where we're talking about death.
But anyhow, it's just frustrating, and this is why I'm now, I'm taking the side of I'm just gonna block them from now on. I'm tired of it, or mute.
Yeah, I mute pretty much. Like I kind of still want people to be able to see my timeline.
Yeah.
Because I feel like blocking them out, it completely shuts down everything. I want people to still see like the good time that we're having over here.
Yeah.
Well, you guys know my tactic. I like to ridicule them without directly addressing them, which drives them insane.
Yes, it does.
That'll generally get you blocked pretty fast.
Yeah.
That's been my
Did
experience.
anyone keep up with, like it's... Oh, hey, DC just snuck in here, hey.
I'm sneaky.
I saw him do it. Then
I
again,
came in while everyone was talking, so it was pretty sneaky. But I heard what you were talking about, Edwin and whatnot, on Twitter earlier. I saw that, what you were talking about.
Yeah, it's BS. I gotta say, you got 2 of the most nicest people. Probably like Edwin's probably one of the most nicest guys in the freaking world. Very calm, and and same with Nerd. And you treating them and disavowing them, and that's what frustrates me. It's like literally, and Edwin said it really good. They're dehumanizing both of them by what they're saying.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was really weird. Like the stuff Richard Pace was saying, if we were to say that, they'd say like you're transphobic or whatever. If you really think about it, like why should anyone have to prove their gender? That should be like that's like that's like their whole thing, right? Like it shouldn't really matter if someone's actually whatever biologically female. Even like why is he questioning that? Like. The fact that they're saying they're female should be enough, even though she really was.
Yes, but see what you're failing to catch is these are individuals who only play by their rules when it suits them to play by their rules. Any other time, and it's like, I can't play by my rules. Are you kidding me? I created them specifically to use against you, not for them to be used against me.
Well, if they didn't have doublethink, they wouldn't think at all.
Yeah.
It's just so transparent. I mean, tweets aren't like a very long amount of text, and it's just right there to read. Like, it's really... And he's so aggressive and everything, too. I don't know. It's weird. I don't...
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't know. It's just bizarre. Yeah, him in particular.
Well, I'm blocked by Richard Pace anyway, so it doesn't matter to me. I'm just like, whatever.
Oh, I got blocked the moment I called him out on his BS. He's like, I'm gonna block everybody who liked your tweet, and I'm like, good, block me, because he just goes to show that if you block me, that you are who you say you are. You are a racist piece of shit. Excuse my French for swearing, because I hate doing it. You know, it was just, the whole situation was, and I know I should have jumped in and derailed it, but when you start attacking family members, I'm sorry, all bets are off. It's fine to attack the person, because I know Nerd can handle it, and I know Edwin can handle it, but when you start attacking family members, you've gone way too far, in my opinion.
Remember that when a couple of days ago family members were off limits? Remember that?
Yeah.
When they because of a certain meme that into which I don't want to go in too much depth, you know. But I think we all know what I'm talking about. And remember how the big thing was, but family members are supposed to be offline. Well, they certainly aren't anymore.
Well, isn't that, just further proof that if it wasn't for double standards, the left would have no standards at all?
Exactly.
I mean, we all play by the rules. We understand, hey, rules are there for a reason. We may not necessarily like them all the time, and yeah, there will be times we'll be like, all right, it'll suck, but we'll follow the rules. But we do that because of the fact that we understand if we follow the rules, we can't be, nothing can be said about us. The left, though, will constantly change that goalpost, change the rules, and be like, look at these guys. They're so Nazi. They can't play by the rules because you keep changing them.
Well, it's not just, and here's the thing everybody keeps misunderstanding. The right is just as guilty as the left. I'm talking about these fringe elements. These fringe elements are the problem. Both the right and the left do the same thing, and they both cause problems. You have your SJWs on the right and the SJWs on the left, because really that's what Richard Spencer is. He's just about SJWs for white people, vice versa. On the left, they are SJW for anybody of their particular speech or whatever. And I said to Richard Pace, and I flat out told him, I said, I'm gonna watch the day they come for you, because you're gonna say something wrong that they're not gonna like, and they're gonna come like for you. And then he's gonna be the one crying about, they're attacking him. Because it happens. Yeah. You see it all the time.
I always say them. I always tell that to them. I mean, are you ready to become the next Ryan Booth or the next, Brandon Graham? With the same treatment that they once made a comic that they weren't supposed to make, or they tried to hit on one of the, the elite chicks, and they had their careers destroyed.
Oh.
Howdy, folks. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
What's acceptable and what isn't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see where this. And I've said it time and time again. It is going to get worse before it gets better. But I see it that people are finally waking up to everything, and they're starting to be aware that there's this really lack of discord coming from both the far fringes on both sides. And it seems to be everybody is running. Those are the people running everything right now. Everybody in the center, be it if you lean left or lean right, we're just pretty much saying, hey, let's bring back some normalcy. I've said it time and time again. This country does not like to swing too far either which way. Too far right, you're going to have problems like you had, back in the 1940s. You swing too far left, you're going to have problems like you had back in the 60s.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's good points, but the whole point I'm making is with my whole comment about the right earlier was, I'm not saying there's not bad actors on the right. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is as a centrist, I can honestly say that the left hates me more than the right does. The right's more like, whatever, you can be whatever you want. It's
But the right, hold on. What a lot of people don't realize, the right was just as guilty back in the 80s.
very true.
Keep in mind, during the 80s and 90s, and this is coming from a guy who is a very religious person. You got to remember the moral majority. Guess what was happening in that time period? The right was going after people for wrong speak at the same time. This is why I said the country does not like to swing too far. This current answer is everything from the 80s and the 90s. You know, so that's why we got to deal with it now. It's going to go away, and it's going to swing back the other way. You know.
Yeah, but every time it's funny because of what is it? Six Hex and Hammer 666 is the guy's channel, right? But he constantly goes, the moral outrage mobile generally goes away, but the problem is, yeah, it goes away, but the country is still changed for the worse because of the moral outrage.
Well, yeah, and that's the part of the problem is, we live in this outrage culture, and it's that's why I said it's gonna get worse before it gets better.
But that's the thing. Every time it's gotten worse, it's never gotten better. I mean, we've never gone back to the way things were in the 50s, after the 60s. We never, and I'm not talking like the racism or anything. I'm talking like the morals, everyone going to church, expected to go to church, things like that, which is, I'm not saying it's a good thing, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm just saying our culture never swung back around to that specific point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because both sides have moved the goalpost. The left moves the goalpost. What does the right do? The right answers to the left by moving their goalpost of what becomes acceptable and stuff like that. So both sides are reactionary to each other.
It's really true. Like, even Trump having all his, affairs and whatnot, that would have never flown with like conservatives when I was growing up.
Oh no, not by a long shot. No.
Yeah, so both sides are moving the goalposts, and they're both moving it in the same direction. Oddly enough.
Well,
I think
it's not a good direction either.
No, it's not.
No.
I guess history moves in cycles.
I think both sides are using each other. They're using each other as an excuse to do stupid shit. Just as Richard Spencer uses the, cultural Marxism and illegal immigration to push his shit. The left does the same thing. They really don't care about fixing the problem. They just care about advancing their ideology.
Oh, and see, that's a valid point, but my whole thing is for me, what I've seen in the past, I want to start with Clinton. Clinton had his affair. The left was like, made it okay for you to have an affair. There's nothing like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bush could have had an affair and nobody would have said anything because Clinton had an affair.
No, I don't agree with that, because at that time period in the 90s and the early 2000s, the Republicans were still fairly conservative on a lot of things,
But on that side, like, they could not get on. If, let's say, Bush had an affair, they couldn't get on to Bush about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. But anyhow, we really should kind of move out of the whole politics.
Yes, I was actually about to say the same thing. What? That's scary. And I'm like, this is not in the mood for this. So, yeah.
Yeah, comics.
So, good comic-wise, I actually picked up here the other day. I was Friday. I was at my LCS, and I got in finally after like months and months and months of me battling. I finally got the Echo collection from Terry Moore.
Ooh.
The graphic novel. If you guys have not read that series, I highly, highly recommend it. Matter of fact, I just recommend Terry Moore's work completely.
He's the one who draws all these really hot
women,
chicks, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's a plus. Okay, yeah, I'll take it out.
Well, the other thing too. Now, one thing he does have, a lot of people do have a complaint about him. A lot of his females do look a lot the same. He's got like 3 or 4 patterns that he used on his women, but that's okay. But his stories are just excellent. I mean, the things that he tackles, like I just did a review a couple months ago on Motor Girl. I would have never expected him dealing with because Rags is a commentary on PSTD. Well, Terry did the same thing. Rags is more of a serious aspect of it, where Terry more kind of went with a more comedic aspect of it. But then towards the end, he started becoming more very serious about it. And that's one thing, same thing with Echo. It's another commentary on other stuff. I don't want to spoil it, but if anybody has, and then there's Rachel Rising, which is his horror, like his commentary on religion and horror. So, that's the thing is, and then of course you have, Strangers in Paradise, which is commentary on LBGT issues and stuff like that. So, Terry's got a really good stuff. So I was finally able to pick it up. He had originally wanted $100 on his site. I was actually able to. Diamond was running a sale, and I was able to order it for $50.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, speaking of DC, remember how I was telling you I had the first appearance of Rocket Raccoon?
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, I had my mic was muted. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I figured I remembered, and I was like, I couldn't find it the other night to prove it's one of those.
Nice.
Oh, I believed you.
I'm sorry, but I've known too many people who be like, "Oh, I have that," cards, comics, things like that. And when you mention it, when you go over to their place, they're like, "Oh, well, it's somewhere else. It's over my," and it's like, no,
Wow, that's pretty lame.
Yeah. So I have a habit of always, if I say I have something, I will show you I have it.
That's a good policy. I respect that.
Like, just because I know people lie to try to make themselves look cooler.
Yeah, I just went through my collection the other day, going through I've been collecting the 69 to 74 Neymar series.
Wow.
And going through and figuring out which ones I'm missing and stuff like that. And luckily, I was talking with my LCS. He has a lot of the ones that I'm missing. So about $6 a piece. So
really,
unfortunately, no, it's not. And they're actually fairly good. They're like 8.5 for most of them. Ratings.
That's cool. See, that's fun. I like that. Back issues and stuff. Especially you're getting a whole collection and they're all good price. Like, that's great.
That's the best way to support your comic shop for sure.
Yeah, back issues. See, I was talking about my comic book shop today, the one that is closest, and it doesn't really have back issues either. It's like, oh, this place sucks.
Wow. Yeah. That's
what you were saying. The guy that runs your shop is also kind of a dick anyway.
Yeah, I don't know why.
That's ridiculous. It's almost like I don't even really know what to compare it to. I'm so taken aback. Like, how can they survive?
Yeah, it's like, why wouldn't you have back issues? It's just your old stock. It's weird because they used to, but they haven't been replenishing it, so it's just getting more and more whittled down. So now it's just weird random issues here and there. I don't know.
They sell a lot of like toys and board games and stuff.
Yeah.
Not even that much. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. Like, a lot of places up by me would start to shift more in the gaming direction.
I think they might play a lot of Magic on the weekends or something, but at least 3/4 of the shop wall is comic books. So I don't know. They have a pretty good selection too. I actually like what he has to sell. It's just the guy has some kind of an issue with me. I don't know why, but yeah, when you go in, it's kind of cool because they have a whole wall of DC, and then you go past that, and then it's like a whole section of indie books. Image and Dynamite and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you go past that, and like shamefully, kind of almost hidden, is all the Marvel books. And I'm just like, oh man, these must not sell.
Well, I can say I blame him if I had to sell Marvel stuff in my shop.
Kind of tucked away, like behind all of the Rick and Morty and like IDW books. It's like, oh my goodness.
No, my LCS doesn't hide the Marvel stuff, but I noticed like when they go into the recommend stuff, like there's not many people are recommending the Marvel stuff at all. It's mostly all the DC stuff right now, plus some of the Image. and a few of like the other like non-technical, mainstream.
Yeah, I was actually pretty fortunate to find there was one particular shop that had a comic that I didn't think I was ever going to be able to pick up, but it was called what was it, like I could see if I could find it over here. Amigo Comics.
Sorry.
Oh, has anyone ever heard of that?
Ego
Amigo.
Comics? Oh,
Amigo. Yeah, it's a Spanish comic publisher, and I was going to get the book because it was only $2.99. I went on their site and I'm like, all right, I'll get this, and it was $20 for shipping.
What?
So at first, I was just like, there's no other option, and I sent.
Welcome to my world, man.
Yeah, that's rough, man. Because I'd rather wait, like, I've ordered stuff from China before, and I would wait like a good 2 months for it, but I would pay like under $10 for shipping. So I was like, is there? Hey, I will wait. I will wait as long as I can. I want to read this, and luckily I did find a shop that had gone through all the trouble of importing the comics, so I was able to snag a copy.
Quick question: am I going robot at times?
No, Dollar is.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, I am.
Yeah.
Yes, you are right now.
Oh, yeah, I hear that too.
I thought it was just. I thought it was
Dollar going Borg. Oh no.
I've been assimilated.
Yes. It was
You've been
this
assimilated.
Kyle.
I didn't
man,
mean to like rag on Marvel really either. It's just their new stuff really. Like when you're talking about the Namor from back in the day, like stuff like that's cool. It's just his shop doesn't have back issues, so he's kind of just got to stash the new Marvel in the back.
And I don't see why comic shops would not do that. Even if you're going to carry old stuff, carry old stuff and trade. Or get a nice good mix between new stuff and old stuff.
Well, he has trades, but I mean single issues like in bins. He doesn't have that.
There you go. Let me try this. Let me try this.
I'm gonna go ahead and drop out here because I don't know if maybe it's because we got 5 people in here. So I planned on running something at 9 anyhow. So I'm gonna jump over to my channel so see if that maybe helps you guys.
Oh, what's going on your channel?
Oh, I'm we're just gonna talk some certain stuff. Nothing too big. So you got your thing. We're just gonna go and talk about like our different projects and stuff. So.
Crossing the streams, man.
Crossing the streams,
man. Not cool.
Not cool.
Speaking of which, I was gonna say the Umbrella guy was doing a stream, but it looks like he stopped.
Yeah,
he stopped.
Isn't Mitch still doing his too? I think Mitch was doing his.
Sure.
And we got enough to hey, we can always cross the streams. So we got different talks. So you guys are talking about your stuff, and we'll talk about something different. So.
This is the whole reason why I did this because I didn't know anyone else was planning on streaming. I was like, we were asked if we were streaming. Everyone was like, "Come on, let's do this." All right, I'll start a stream.
We must have sent out at the same time because when Dollar asked, I'm like, "Hey, I can do it," and I saw you send it out at the same time. So yeah, I mean, it's just that I don't work till late tomorrow, so I kind of figured, I'll put my stream in for the week until Saturday. So, but that's fine. I'm not going to interrupt you guys. Keep doing your thing, and I'll do my thing. So, all right, I'll talk to you guys later.
All right.
Take care, man. So yeah, I won't be staying much longer either because it's almost 3 a.m. here. And even if I'm used to the American time zone, I really need to sleep sometimes.
Oh, not a problem, Canales. Not a problem.
No, it's really great. I like talking to you guys because I really talk to anyone here because I'm kind of a hermit and I hate everyone around me.
Say that again. I did not understand it. I was kind of
that probably was probably for the best. And I said that I like talking to you guys because I rarely talk to anyone over here. I'm kind of a really hostile hermit to every Spaniard around me.
Hey, I don't know what to say about that, man. I Spain's one of the few countries I didn't get to to go to. So I can't help you there, guy.
Nah, it's okay. I'm used to it. Just today, or actually yesterday, our cable TV, so to speak, or TiVo failed, and I called this morning to have it repaired, and they told us that until the weekend we won't have a TV.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how things work over here.
So what? The company went out of business, or what?
No, they're just lazy, incapable assholes, I guess.
Wow.
Well, yeah, you don't need TV anyway. That's what the internet's for.
Yeah, no, that's true. But yeah, considering that and that apparently American girls like me, I might have to get me a green card, you know?
May as well.
Hey, she
Do
who
it.
shall not be named could be your sugar mama.
I know she likes me. I mean, she keeps obsessing like crazy over me. That's the only explanation.
Do it.
Yeah. Who
Do
knows?
it.
Naked works.
I
Naked
don't
works,
even know what
man.
you're talking about. But yeah, just get that citizenship marriage, and then you're set. You're golden.
Pretty much.
I'm pretty sure Trump isn't keeping out Europeans, so you should be okay.
I may look slightly Mexican though.
Oh, you might have to watch out
Yeah,
then.
I'm not as fair skinned as other Spaniards. I have the bad luck of having a Mediterranean father, so I like kind of Moorish, you know?
Oh no. No, I'm just kidding.
Canales, we have a request from chat before you go.
Of course.
So, Weird Hero wants you to say, "My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die."
Okay, let me do this properly. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. How's that?
I think that works. I think that works.
Are they
Yeah,
happy?
definitely works. It's good, man.
Put it on a soundboard.
Yeah, you have my permission to download it and use it as a ringtone.
Might have to.
I wholeheartedly support you becoming an American. So come when you can.
We'll support your visa.
All right.
Sponsor it. That's the term. Yeah.
But I am trying to. That's what I was about to do. I had to remember what I was going to do. Trying to check chat kind of threw me off. Avid sending you a message.
Do I still sound like a robot?
No, you do not.
All
You
right.
sound
thanks.
like- You sound sexy.
Yeah, you sound like you, man.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, I think I'm gonna be going. Trying to get some sleep.
Later,
Take care,
Canales.
man.
See ya.
Good night.
Be well, guys. Be well.
You
We
too.
will. We will.
Yeah. Yeah.
That Canales is a good cat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's always nice having him around.
Mm,
So, comic books. Anyone else picked up anything noteworthy?
Oh man.
Spork did give me a copy of Conventions.
Oh, nice.
I was
Oh
all
my-
excited about Hard Case File until those assholes acted like they did, and I was like, damn it. Anyway.
Isn't that how it normally goes? You get all excited about a mainstream book or some kind, and
They were
then
doing adaptations of Mickey Spillane, and I was like, that's so cool. And then I got the first 2 issues, and then I'm blocked from them right now because I had said something. It was something just yeah, I guess you don't want people to buy your book or something like that, and they blocked me. Hard Case File, their main Twitter thing. I was like,
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I
a
guess
shame.
You guys really don't want my money. And the thing was, I bought several of their novels as well, so I don't know what the fuck they're thinking, man.
let me
Yeah.
tell you what the fuck they're thinking. They're thinking that they don't need money. They think the people who don't buy their books will buy their books.
Here's the thing, Mickey Spillane would have bitch slapped those motherfuckers. You know what I mean? He was a hard drinking, hard womanizing, gun-toting. Like, seriously, that's who he was, and he wrote Mike Hammer kind of in his own image a little bit.
Yeah.
He'd served in the military, he'd fought Nazis and all that other stuff, just like a lot of those cats did in that era. And the fact that they're printing a block and a lot of these old detective novel dime store stuff and pulp things, and all those guys would have looked at these douchebags and said, you guys are a bunch of pussies, and that's what they would have called them.
They wouldn't have pulled a punch. They would have been like, you think you're intimidating? How cute.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the funny thing, like Black Mask, the comics. Well, there was a kind of a publisher back in the day that did a lot of these like hard-boiled stuff that was called Black Mask too. I don't know if they're kind of riffing off that or whatever, but like they're just totally. I can't believe these are the names that they're putting on things. Okay. Anyway, I've ran over.
No.
Well, it's all good. In general, like I wish I could remember exactly who said it in one of these threads. I don't even know who the creator was at this point. I'm losing track. But they said the second that you pretty much as a creator tell your customer base any portion, whether it's 1, 10, 100, not to buy your product, you've lost. And that's just, there's no coming back from that when you're telling people not to buy your product.
Well, they said that outright to somebody, and I was kind of responding to that, and I got blocked. But they were saying basically, we don't want you as a customer, and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, this is your product that you're doing, and you're saying you don't want men. That it's men, basically white men. I'm not trying to say that any other demographic won't buy it, but I don't get it, because their stories are what they are. Why are they driving away their core demographic? It doesn't make any sense.
Because they're dumb?
Literally, they're a basket of stupid. I mean, I can't believe that. Because
okay. When you are cucked out on identitarianism, you do things that make absolutely no sense. And they are doing things that are making absolutely no sense.
I mean, it makes me speechless, because I thought that like Hard Case File would be like, they would see, all right, these are the people that we're marketing to, and then they actually came and just said, no, we don't want you, like, because you're the type of people we don't want. And I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, the people that will like this stuff, I mean, with exception to the occasional hipster who thinks he's got enough tea to make himself, pop a boner. It's going to be older men, or men who follow the same sort of ethic that the American male has traditionally followed, and then they just kind of throw them out with the bathwater. Baby goes there.
Oh, I know.
Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm rambling about this, but it's something I liked that I'm just like, I don't want to spend any more money on it because freaking assholes.
Well, so yeah, that's how I felt about Saga. Like I had probably, I made it to I think issue 50 of that comic book, and I really enjoyed it despite the obvious political stuff in the book that was shoehorned in there. But after a certain point,
well written.
Yeah, like Brian K. Vaughan, I gave him, a lot of props for. I liked Why the Last Man was another one of his that I enjoyed. But now I don't really find myself revisiting those stories anymore, and it just doesn't feel the stuff doesn't quite feel as timeless as other things. Like I just my review that's actually uploading right now is for Dick Tracy, Chester Gould, and those comic serials were 1943, and they still hold up today in a huge way. And I just don't feel like a lot of this stuff is going to hold up that many years down the road that's coming out now. Yeah.
Hey, some of that Dick Tracy and some of that old school stuff is in the public domain now too. I don't know if you if you've looked into that. But there's one website, they only post stuff that's legal, but it's got a lot of the older stuff from like the 30s and 40s and even further back. Well, there's that's the Gutenberg Project. I didn't know they had comics on there. I knew they had books. There's another one though. It's like a Golden Age site. But anyways, yeah, they have a lot of the old stuff. Even like Captain Marvel, you know, what they call Shazam now, but like a lot of the old school stuff, and it's all legal because it's out of whatever copyright.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, it's cool. It's got all kinds of comics, like Western and sci-fi and stuff that you don't see as much anymore.
It's kind of cool. I mean, in fact, if you know the link to that, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, let me dig it up. I've got it bookmarked here somewhere. I did a video about it a while back.
So
here it is.
So apparently,
you're DC United, right? That's who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
All right.
Here it is. Oh, it's comicbookplus.com. And they've got
comicbookplus.com.
Yeah.
Comicbookplus.com.
And mine's linked to the superhero section, but there's all kinds. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, when you're talking about Dick Tracy, it made me think of that. But there's some pretty crazy stuff. It's really neat. And a lot of it's really hard to find otherwise, too.
Yeah, I got to check this out.
Yeah, because it's been out of print forever.
Is that one? That's one word, right? Comicbookplus.com.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, there's like amazing stories from the 1920s and all kinds of things. But yeah, Gutenberg is cool too.
Yeah, I've actually downloaded quite a bit of theirs, and then I put it on a reader. I mean, it comes out a little tinny, but you know,
yeah,
it's better than buying, you know, spending money on an actual red thing. So.
Quick question. Has anyone been following the whole Lola Meets Fit?
No, I don't know what's that
about. Basically, popped up yesterday. The Lola Meets is on Twitter, but the girl from Panama is the name. Basically, yesterday, she made a comment and they were immediately hounding her about, oh, you're not a girl, you're not a female, you're not a woman, you're not this, you're not that, you're just some neckbeard sitting behind your computer, la da 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 da. This is a fake account. They hounded this poor woman until apparently, when did she finally break down? 1:50 p.m., I'm guessing my time, so Central, this afternoon. This started yesterday or the day before.
What do you mean by breakdown?
Like basically finally take a picture of herself to prove that she's a woman.
Oh,
I think I saw that. That was just Twitter.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of this.
Yeah, like even Tug made a comment about it and whatnot. And it's just like,
what's her name? Lola what?
Her name is the girl from Panama, but her @ is Lola Meets.
That's why I saw that. Yeah, that Panama girl, she follows me, and I follow her, and then, yeah, Tug commented on it. So.
Who went after her? Who was this who was going after her?
Like, all the far left guys, pretty much.
Oh, fuck that, man.
Like, just looking right here, Dan Panesian, B. Clay Moore. Like, really?
And what was the thing? Just because she's kind of with the comic skate or what?
Yeah, because she's on the comic skate side, and they were like,
"Oh, you're not really a woman."
Uh-huh.
That poor shit. All right. Well, you know that shows how much of a feminist they are.
Oh, I know. It's like, come on, dude. You guys are supposed to be the male feminist type that treat women all, you know, with all the respect and all this, that, and the other. But then you do this shit.
As far as I know, except for, you know, how some people go after one particular person in our periphery, I guess is the best way to say it. We treat our ladies pretty nice.
Well, because they say they're female, and that's the end of it. We're like, whatever, we don't care.
Right. I mean, like, well, in fact, we're pretty happy to have them around. That's my experience. As long as they're not, as long as they don't have, not as long as they're not a bag of crazy. You know what I mean?
Like ye shall not be named.
Well, Anyway.
We all know who you're talking about, so.
Well, I don't like to point it out, and
No, I mean, me either.
It's not like I'm Voldemorting or anything. I just you put it out there, and then it gets back.
Like,
if you want to say it, then that's fine. But I'm gonna let the lady lie.
No, that bitch follows me. All right, I'm like, what the hell?
She follows me too. But I mean, that's not.
It's like, how crazy are you? Are you just what? Are you so like disappointed that all the guys that follow you are soy boy cucks and they're the only one that pay attention to you? So you've gotta like stalk the real men?
Well, she was all up in Comicsgate here, like until pretty recently, to be honest. Like she was kind of one of the OGs in a fucked up way. Like when I started paying attention to this stuff over a year ago, she was here, So
yeah,
it's weird how people change.
I still have no idea who this is. Yeah,
it's all good.
I do
see. Let's just say Hewlett Packard. I think that's what we're talking about.
No.
Oh, okay. That's who I assumed too.
Too close.
Oh, blue-haired.
Oh, okay. That doesn't narrow it down with the blue hair. But I got distracted by comicsplus.com has this crazy selection I'm going through all so far. It's got look at this. It's got Minute Movies, Little Nemo, Leslie Shane, all the classics that everybody loves. Dan Dunn, Corky. It's got Corky and Charlie Chan. That's good.
I thought you'd like that website. I went and looked at the Dick Tracy part, and they've got over 100 books.
That's awesome.
121 issues.
They have all those books that like everybody now would just flip their freaking lid over because there's.
Oh, yeah. Well, exactly. Some of these there aren't that many physical copies either, so it's a real service that they put all this stuff online. I think for someone like me, I'd never be able to read a lot of these things.
Oh yeah, real quick, the names of who I'm talking about is in the Hangouts chat, and be right back because as you see, there is a problem here.
Oh, we lost Finn.
That too. But be right back.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, I mean, I haven't been able to go through my inbox too well. I got a lot of stuff that I've been meaning to comb through. We just found it was really cool though. I think we posted a picture of it. My girlfriend found a Joker comic from the 1976 run. I think there was only 9 of them. It was pretty cool. It was the Joker versus Sherlock Holmes. I don't know why that makes me laugh so much, but it's just the pairing of the Joker versus Sherlock Holmes is just that's what I want to see.
Yeah, that could work in a weird way. Maybe like the Riddler and Sherlock Holmes.
That would actually be way better. It's weird though that they're kind of implying that I didn't think Batman took place that far back. For some reason, I assumed that Batman was always the Depression era. Was really I just assumed that it was taking place essentially in real time at the end of the 30s there. So then you throw Sherlock Holmes into the mix, and I don't know what year it is. Yeah.
Well, you could do Gotham by Gaslight Batman.
There you go.
Yeah. There's we got steampunk Batman.
We got Finn back. Yeah. I think we got Finn back. Just like Jimmy. Logo or lethal.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
I had a phone call and I had to take it, so.
That's so good.
All right. We had some I want the when I go to that site, I don't have time right now to get there, but I would hope that they would have some of those old stuff that's less politically correct. Let's just put it that way. That's kind of why I like all this older stuff. is that I don't like the racist stuff per se, but I do like stuff that where they let fly with the stuff and they're not so cautious about everything now. It seems like that really started to come in just about a decade ago, and so I can go back to that time, but it starts to creep in slowly, and then it just ramped up the last 4 years. Just crazy. And everything I read, like it seems like it seems milk toast, like cautious, and then like really snarky at the same time. I've looked at some things, and there are a few that are left. Even Marvel has a couple of things that are left, but I don't want to spend a whole lot of money anymore.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's so much money, and then like I have this project I'm working on, and I know people are like, well, then are you really truly a fan? Well, I'm like, well, I'm trying to get this thing done, so I think so. But again, like if I'm not getting enjoyment out of things, unless I'm going back to get like old graphic novels or something, I don't see why I should spend on new stuff. I just don't. And like I said, I was kind of happy about that Mickey Spillane thing because it was actually from one of his stories, but yeah, and that got shit on too. And I'm just like shit. So yeah, I've cut down quite a bit of my spending, and which is sad because I like to go hang out down at the comic book store, but I feel kind of bad if I'm just gonna go down there and just talk shop and not buy anything,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I'm the same way. That's why one of the reasons I liked when they had back issues.
Oh, they got Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. Sorry, I'm still on this site.
Oh man, she is fine. Then that's kind of one thing that disappoints me with Dynamite right now. They've got all these cool properties like her.
They just use them.
Yeah,
poorly,
yeah, exactly. Like her and the Shadow and Vampirella and all these characters that are awesome, and they usually have a good cover, but then you get it and you're like, oh, this is horrible.
Yeah, they do a good cover, fake you out, and then you open it up and you're like, what the hell?
Oh, it's really tricky too because it's a good character. Like I like the IP, and I like the cover, and oh man, they got me a couple times.
Sheena started out pretty good, like the newer one, and now like the last few, I put it on my poll, and then the last few I was just like crap, and so I took it off my poll because I was just bored.
I think Vampirella might get good again because
I hope so.
Their Halloween special looks pretty good.
And see, like I like Red Sonja. Like I think Amy Chu's been doing it. She's kind of a bitch. I mean, when we're talking about her online presence, but I'm blocked by her. But I mean, I like the story, but again, I'm blocked by her. And I was never anything but nice. And then she did a block bot, and I got caught up because apparently, liking DMT is a bad thing. It goes all the way around. Every time I turn around, I just can't seem to get away from it. Stuff I would spend my money on. And the thing is like now it's since Gail Simone did Red Sonja, a woman has to write Red Sonja now apparently, except for a few exceptions. And I'm just like, okay, it was a character made by men. Impetus created by the most masculine writer ever, even though he was a little bit of a mama's boy. But I mean, you know what I mean? I just don't understand. All these things that were made by men now have to be co-opted, I guess is the best word. And then they have to...
Because we can't have nice things?
Yeah. And he's right, though. DC, you're right. You're totally right about all these cool properties that has in their stable, and they just piss them away.
Yeah.
Like John Wick, what the hell, man? They could do this awesome comic with John Wick, and they just fuck around with it.
Yeah.
And then like what? It comes out every 2 or 3 months. What the hell is with that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Money? You got to remember, we're talking about Marxists who literally do hate money.
But here's the funny thing. I mean, Ethan talks about how he knows the guy who owns like dynamite, and like he's his buddy. But then,
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is that guy doing with the properties he's got? He's got all these really cool properties, and
Yeah.
he just makes a milk toaster like half-assed. And I mean, like, you could do the coolest stuff, get the coolest artists, and even if you were like subbing out to like other countries, you still could do better things. He's always just paying top dollar for Jay Anacleto covers, which I totally agree with. But then he doesn't have the interior art to match.
Well,
I mean, and he doesn't have to
What
match
kills-
Anacleto, but you know what I mean?
What
Well-
kills me about the covers too is they'll put out freaking like 10 variant covers, and
yeah.
it's like, do we really need 4 cosplay covers? How about you take that money and make the interior art decent?
Yeah, there's only one cosplay player that I actually think is kind of cute. She actually lives around here, where I'm at here in Utah. She's kind of a skinny gal, but
There's nothing wrong with cosplay. I'm just saying their money would be better used on the interior art.
well, I mean, I asked her, and she's like, there's a chain of comic book stores here called Dragon's Keep, and one of their managers, it's his wife, and you know, so I met her, and she asked her how much they paid her, and she goes, "Oh, it's not very much," and you know, and we got talking, and she says every cover she gets, it's like $200.
Really?
Yeah, so they're lowballing the shit out of her.
Wow.
Yeah, but she does it because it gets it gets exposure to her website, and she sells her stuff, and she has things that she makes money on. So she thinks it's it's
Yeah.
a recompense. Anyway,
Well, and their whole budget to produce the comic can't be more than a couple $1,000s to begin with, so I guess I'm not surprised.
well, I mean, but like that they're paying Jay Anacleto at least $1,500 for his penciling when they have
True.
him or like Art Germ or something like that. And then Jesco still does covers for him, and so does. I mean,
That's another thing about my comic book shop owner. I asked him, I didn't know at the time that the Art Germ cover for Action Comics 1000 was an exclusive. So I asked him if he had seen it or if he had it. And he didn't say yes or no. He just looked at me like, Art Germ? Like he didn't know the term, and he owns a comic book shop. And to make it worse is like he's looking at me like I'm a crazy person making up words. But it's not my fault you don't know the term Art Germ. Like he has
a real name, but I mean everybody calls him that, right?
I mean I didn't know Stanley, whatever.
Stanley
I even
Now or whatever.
Yeah, I follow him on YouTube. He has his own
he's a
channel.
cool guy. He's a really cool guy.
But like, dude, he owns a comic book shop. If I hadn't been so surprised, I would have went over and picked up a Supergirl and been like, "This artist."
Yeah.
You know, he was doing the
like,
covers.
that seems to be the only reason that half the books are selling anymore because he, puts.
I mean, it would have been like bringing up Alex Ross 10 years ago. Like you hear about Art Germ all day, every day. It was like, what the fuck, And he's just looking at me like I'm making up Dr. Seuss words, and it's like, whatever, dude.
So he's not really into comics. He just sells them.
Apparently not. It's weird, and like I don't know. I don't want to talk about it for the whole time, but like,
I'm an old man, and I still know. I know when a good artist appears. I make a note of it. You know what I mean?
Well, and he's on all kinds of stuff too. It's not even
he's
just
everywhere.
It's not even just one company. Yeah, does game art and all the different companies and everything.
He's a solid producer, and he keeps going. Like his Twitter feed's always full of stuff. So he's always
it's cool. He can draw, just the conventional way too when he posts that, because his stuff's usually digital art, right?
Yeah.
That you see, so it's cool, like knowing he can do both. Because when he just straight up draws, it's really good too.
No, he's got skills all the way around.
Yeah.
I believe he's just one of those guys that has the ability to do whatever he wants, and he does it really well. Just lucky bastard.
Yeah. Well, some people are just naturally talented, and then they use that talent all the time, and it gets perfected.
Well, I always for people like that, I always have the story that Ralph Bakshi tells about Frank Frazetta about drawing a rabbit, and like for some reason Bakshi, it's the story of Painting with Fire, the documentary, and he says that he needed a rabbit just for something, and so Frank goes and takes like 10, 15 minutes and does this rabbit, and then he gives it to Bakshi, and Bakshi goes, where did you get the reference for this? And he goes, oh, I didn't have a reference. And he said, to this day, it's the best rabbit I've ever seen in motion. It's like, and it shows the rabbit, it's jumping like through there, twisting itself and looking behind itself. And Frazetta did it out of his head, which, and, you know, Bakshi says, I'll never be able to draw a rabbit as well as, you know, he did, even with reference. And I was just, you know, he's just got that kind of brain. Rip, Frank.
You could have Timothy Lim draw him some rabbits.
Yeah, Tim, like I should send that. I should find that little drawing and send it to Tim. Yeah,
honestly, that's what I always think of when someone's talking about a rabbit, especially in a comic-related thing. It's like, send it to Tim.
Send it to Tim. Exactly. I'll have to look that up because I have it somewhere. I have all of Frazetta. I was a big Frazetta guy from way back in the 80s. I collected all of his collected books and works, Legacy and Icon, and there's another one. They're all out of print now, which is stupid. They should sell them constantly.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
Now that Harley...
I start talking about Rosetta and I kind of wax.
Oh no, y'all do y'all's thing. I'm kind of doing some research on shit. So,
what are you doing, man?
Something that's bothered me since basically politics shit, news, things like that. Something that's bothered me since the Portland protest on the 4th, I do believe.
That last one.
Yeah, the dude's hitting a dude. No damage along the body, then he hits him in the head, dude falls over. One, I'm like, what was he using to hit him that he could take body shots all day, it didn't bother him, but then the dude, like, the part that pisses me off, the dude sits there, thinks about it like, is going to jail worth this? Oh, I'm wearing a mask, nobody's gonna care. And then hits the dude. And it's like, oh, you know, this is why I don't like Antifa. This is why nobody likes you except you. You know, you don't even like each other because you know, drop of a hat, you will rat each. If it means, like, for instance, I knew who that guy was. Both of us were Antifa. I would, you know, dime him out to save my own ass, and he knows it.
Yeah.
And that's how all Antifa is. They know. They will be dimed out in drop of a hat to save someone to save their own ass, and it's like, and you're supposed to be.
You notice these guys don't pull this shit in a state where there's pretty. The carry laws are a lot less stringent.
Oh, I was actually talking to my dad about that earlier. I was like, you know, they ain't gonna come to Middle America, where you know
they ain't coming to Utah to do that. They ain't coming to Arizona. They're not gonna do that.
They're not going to come to Oklahoma. They're going to stay in the East and West Coast states where they can get away with pulling this shit.
Yeah,
because they know.
Unless they're going to be like in somewhere like Chicago, this stuff ain't going to fly. And it won't. Even in Salt Lake, which people don't really know this about Salt Lake. Salt Lake has, because of the Mormon Church there, people who are liberal, they really wear it on their sleeves. You know what I mean? They make it kind of known. But even they won't fuck around here. There are too many armed people, and it would end very badly. Plus, there's a lot of military. There's a lot of we live in the West. You know, Texas and Oklahoma are like this too. People are just you just don't take that kind of shit. You don't, and it would end very badly for Antifa around here. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
Just like if a bunch of neo-Nazis started marching down the street, it would, and acting the fool, it would end very badly for them as well.
Yeah.
Like, but no, it's what drives me nuts is the fact that, like I said, you see the dude literally sitting there like, thinking about it. Like, you could tell he's like, is going to jail worth this? Is going to prison worth? Take Bike Lock guy. Dude is a professor. Beats a dude over a head who's down on the ground like this, trying to get people to calm down. Hits dude over the head with a bike lock. All he gets is 3 years probation.
Yeah, that guy should have gotten the shit fined out of him, and at least I think he should have gotten at least a year in jail. That's just me.
Oh,
I mean,
everyone.
That was assault with a deadly weapon. I mean, it was.
No, everyone knows it, but because what it is the specific the green hats that go around getting these people information. They are basically lawyers that's their entire job, getting these guys off. Making sure that the next protest, they're at the front lines being able to do exactly that all over again. They don't care if they kill anybody. They don't, and honestly, and I said this when it happened, I was like, it's a damn shame that dude didn't die. Because had that dude died, Antifa would have been cracked down right then and there. Nobody could have hid behind anything. There's nothing Antifa could have done. They would have been done right then and there, because at that point, they've officially murdered somebody. Hiding behind a mask.
I don't think it's a shame that he died, but I mean, I get your point. But it's going to come to this. One of these days, they're going to do something. If they keep escalating, it's going to come to that, and it's going to get really bad if they keep doing this.
It's like this. Would you rather someone die early and puts an end to it, or several people die because they've gotten emboldened and finally decided to do something big?
I don't want a good man to die because of somebody's evil. I don't think that's
I understand
the trade-off
that.
for me of that. So that's just me. Right.
Yeah, I understand that, but there has to be a trade-off because they've been covered for so long. They're getting emboldened, and it's going to take them finally either they're going to get so big that they're going to actually start attacking people and attempting to literally kill people.
Well, I saw this one, there's a video of Antifa going, they're beating the crap out of this guy, like just kicking him and hitting him with sticks. And then this, I don't know if it was a black lady or just a guy with a black fellow with dreadlocks, but he throws his body on top of the guy to stop him from doing it. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
And they stopped, they pulled away, and he was covering this dude. I was like, anyway, I that's the type of thing I hope good people stand up and say, "Oh, fuck this shit," and because there's way more good people than there are these assholes.
I don't deny that, but in the areas where these guys operate, there isn't. These are areas that are far left to begin with, because that's where they stay. They stay in their lane, like we mentioned earlier. They know.
Well, I know plenty of people from Portland. I mean, my cousin lives just south of Portland, and I talked to her about this, and there's a lot of people around Portland that do not like this stuff. It's just right in Portland where it's like this conclave of just no, they're like commies and that sort of thing, and Portland's a haven for people who are like homeless. And they come there and they live off the system, and they feed this kind of mentality. And then if you've ever been there, it's actually a very beautiful city, but I cannot believe that the locals around there are behind it. I mean, because there's a lot of businesses there. There's a lot of people who are obviously in they have capitalist mentality. There's a lot of stuff that goes on there. I don't see how that they can look at this and go, yeah, this is good for our city.
I had the Bartlett ideologue that's a friend of mine. Him and his husband, that's where they live. And guess what? Guess where they were? More than likely that day.
So
right there.
Is he Antifa?
He won't tell me he is, but it doesn't take much. His lack of telling me tells me.
That's some friend to have right there.
Well, he didn't used to be like this. It's literally people like him started out moderate. But the thing is, that's the whole problem with social justice. A lot of these people didn't they didn't start out far left. They were, yes, they had communistic beliefs, and that's where they got them all. A lot of them already had communistic beliefs. He's the son of a teacher. He grew up poor up till a certain age, and then because of that experience, oh, well, communism's the answer. Communism's the answer. This is what my communist brothers tell me I should do, so I'm going to do it. He doesn't put critical... And the thing that pisses me off the most about it is he's too goddamn smart for this. Too damn smart.
There's the old adage, right? That, intelligence does not equal wisdom. And, I think that's proof by young people every day. There's a lot of intelligent young people, but they get snowed by people that seem either charismatic or something. They want to find the easier route. The truth is, life is not easy. It just isn't. No matter how you slice it, life is going to kick the shit out of you. And, there isn't some ideology that's going to bring some utopia. The only way through life is to work hard, to be diligent, and try to have some integrity, and to be a good person. And that's life. And I have to say, everywhere I've gone in the world, and I haven't gone everywhere, but I've gone quite a few places, most people are good people, regardless of their culture or ideology. The problem is you get a certain segment of that society that takes control of whatever, government or systems are there, and it's once they're in place, it's hard to dislodge them, especially if it upsets the status quo and throws everything into chaos. And because the good people know that if everything goes into chaos, then there's a good possibility their family and their friends and their whole system is just going to fall apart. And it's fear. And so when you talk about these people, they see the world. We live in a country, even in our worst parts. I mean, think of the worst, like parts of like Detroit that look like a militarized town, or just falling apart. Even there is far better than most of the world. And I can't understand how they can't see this, how they look out their window and go, oh, we're living in this fascist, dictatorship right now. And I'm like, because at the same time that you're saying that, you're allowed to say basically whatever you want, run around with masks on your face, and act like a dipshit in the street, and they're not mowing you down with a machine gun. What the fuck are you talking about? Because you do that in China, shit's gonna go down, and they're gonna run you over with a tank.
Oh yeah.
I guess they've got the first 22 issues of The Spirit on that website.
Sorry, he did a little bit of a non sequitur there because I'm getting really, really serious.
Yeah, no, and I completely understand.
Sorry, you get me talking politics and history, and I get all.
No. I was actually checking the chat real quick. I completely agree. It's one of those. My biggest problem with a lot of this is the fact that it doesn't have to be this way. Like, that's why I'm so supportive. And normally I'm all about liberties, things like that. But unfortunately, because of the way Antifa acts, we need the Unmask Antifa Act. And
I have no problem with the idea of making, like, when there's like these big gatherings that people don't wear masks. I have no problem with that, because what the anonymity basically, because it's like, the shit that happens on Twitter and on the internet, how people act really like just assholes. Well, that's the same thing, is when they have the mask on, they think they can act like an asshole, like do just terrible things. They basically become brown shirts without wearing the brown shirt. They wear black and they cover their face, and they just think they can get away with it. Once you unmask them, like happened down there in Georgia,
with the KKK,
right? They didn't act like.
Yeah, and that, like, literally there's already technically laws on the books, but the thing is, they're updating the laws because where the laws on the books was originally meant for the KKK and things like that.
I just think it should be any political entity that wants to project their influence cannot mask themselves so they can just be this anonymous force in the streets. because all that makes you is no better than home invading burglars, in my opinion. You know.
Oh, that's funny. Matt and I were talking about the same thing. Like, I just read it right when I was talking about it. But no, my whole point is the fact that when you have groups that think that it is okay, to hide behind a mask, all the really, like you said, all they're doing is they know. They know because they got this cover on, they got goggles, they got this helmet. You can't see their hair, you can't see their any definable features unless they're dumb and they have arm tattoos.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I think that the government, I mean, I'm not a big fan of huge government, but the government needs to make the laws to say this is something that will help keep the peace. The same thing applies. I hate to say this. I don't hate to say this at all. I think the burqas, in the sense that covering the face with for religious purposes, you can do that in your own religious ceremonies, but out in the street, no. Sorry, that's got to go.
Yeah,
because that allows you.
You got the freedom of religion, though, in the First Amendment.
Let's see, but there are a few things that does not cover, especially when it means that things could cause seriously bodily harm to people, or
with masks and stuff.
And the thing is
I mean, Antifa, sure, but I don't know about religion.
With women being covered, what that makes is you can't see if they've been abused or anything else because they're covered. You can't see any of that stuff if you can't see their face. I mean, again, you won't see it on their body because most people are like that. But like the fact you won't be able to identify who they are, they basically become people that there's no record of. And that negates their rights completely when you can't use their faces or anything else.
Also, hasn't there been cases of dudes trying to sneak into countries as refugees wearing that?
And the thing is that it's easy for people to disguise themselves as a female, with that, especially if you're a smaller man, like no doubt. I mean, there are reasons to enact laws against that. And people are like, well, that's freedom of religion. I'm like, okay, freedom of religion doesn't cover freedom of, negating people's rights. And I personally think that negates a woman's rights to any sort of recourse because, and if she's completely controlled by her family or by the religion and, that sort of thing, I got a cat attacking me right now. I got to get rid of him. Go away. Go.
A cat attacking?
She's trying to get up in my face because I'm talking. She thinks, and she's being really goddamn annoying.
I have a cat. I know it. I know how it is.
So I'm keeping my foot on her so she stays over there. Anyway, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm going to say this outright. Islam needs a reformation because there are problems within it, just big monster problems. I never used to say this. I used to be a live and let live sort of guy, but since 9/11, I have done massive amounts of research on that particular religion and any religion around that, like the Yazidi and the Zoroastrians, and anywhere that they've gone where they've inserted themselves. I mean, people could say the same thing about Christianity, but Christianity does not have in their text the same sort of prescription that Islam does. Islam needs a reformation. They need to have their moderates come in. I mean true moderates, not what today is considered a moderate Muslim, and they need to take the bull by the horns. The other thing is they're not a very centralized religion. They have many sects, and the sects have been fighting for 1,400 years. That's probably the only reason why they haven't come in force like they could, because they can't seem to get together on their own dogma.
Well, Christians have that problem too.
Yeah, but Christians, again, that's the other thing. Christians do have. Here's the thing about Christians.
I mean, we're very splintered.
We have the Catholic Church, and that's the biggest sect of all. And then you have Orthodox. The Orthodox view the Catholic Church as just another one of their of these churches, because there's like Russian Orthodox, Greek Orthodox. There's several orthodoxies within that, and all of them consider themselves like kind of equal, but they're just different churches. They consider the Roman Catholic Church the same, but the Roman Catholic Church does not consider them the same. And that they were the first great schism. And then later on, you had the Reformation, and then you had them going back to look at the Bible, because the Bible they kept in Latin, and nobody read Latin. And when they started to distribute it, people went, "Wait a minute, what are you guys doing?" And that's essentially how that happened. But the core of Christianity, even with the Gnostics, is very much centered around the Christian ethic, and to some extent the Judeo aspects of it. That is not the same with Islam. Islam is kind of, if you look at their religion, how it grew out and how they took different parts and pieces, it's kind of a bastardization of both Christianity, Zoroastrianism, some of the pagan stuff, and Judaism, and in a way, Muhammad, who everything came out of his mouth, just kind of, he heard things and he kind of slapped things together, and it really is slapdash in how it's formed together. And then he didn't actually write; he was illiterate, so everything that he said, all of his prophecy.
I might have to bail. This is kind of like not good to associate with my channel. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean,
it's cool. I came to talk about comics. I mean, you have your beliefs and all that, but yeah. See you guys
later.
Take care, man. Sorry, I didn't mean to chase him off.
Hey, I understand. No, I understand. He's trying to keep a lot of the controversy away from his channel, and whereas me, I'm like, that's one of the things about my channel is we may start out talking comics, but we will talk about everything.
Well,
because
see, I'm not saying that I don't want to go out and chase, every Muslim down. In fact, that's not what I'm saying. But I do think that there needs to be they need to look at themselves and realize that, of all the craziness that goes on in the world, their insertion of their religion is there in a lot of instances. And it's one of those things. And it comes literally down to how basically who we got come in?
This is Underground Geek. I think I said that right.
We're talking religion. You sure you want to be here? We kind of chased away
DC United Fancy
United. Oh, I mean to chase him away, but he got uncomfortable. Are you sure you want to be here, man?
Oh, that's fine with me.
Okay. I'm talking about Islam and how it needs a reformation. It's not really comics related. If you have something else you want to talk about, we can switch gears.
Definitely.
That's fine. That's fine. I could talk all day about that.
Well, I'm just saying that when it comes to Islam, and I know many Muslims that are fine people, absolutely, they're good citizens, and they live their religion, but they don't seem to be wanting to enforce it. However, you get a bunch of them together, they start talking Sharia, or at least a portion of them do, and that's when I get nervous, because Sharia it's basically anathema to our way of life. So, anyway.
Well, there's I kind of taught a night class on this. It seems like every time Muhammad needed something for the occasion, he went into his cave and wrote a new book about it and come back with it. And the last thing that he wrote was the Sharia law. And that pretty much was during wartime when he needed it, to fight all of these infidels and everything that wasn't Muslims. And so he wrote that Sharia law and come back with that. But I mean, you could always
generally. Here's the thing: like most people don't realize, he actually didn't write anything. He just said stuff, and people wrote it down.
Yeah.
And then they actually compiled it later on, and it got shuffled. The Quran is very non-linear. It's all over the place. They've mixed like the Medinan and the Meccan sutras, mixed them together, and the timeline of how everything came out is all goofy. But all the quote unquote what we would consider the bad stuff, the harsh stuff, those are all the Medinan verses, and they came later, and they have this thing called abrogation. Abrogation means that anything that was said before is abrogated or negated by what was said later on. And so all the jihad and all the slavery shit and all the you can raid and pillage and rape and take all the sex slaves and kill the infidel and all that stuff. That was the last stuff, and that abrogates everything that came before, which was more the peace and love and the Islam the religion of peace thing. And most people don't even know that. They don't know why some Muslims will say I'm not a very good Muslim, and then they'll kind of port to these what we consider fanatic and go, well, that's they're the good Muslims, and it's just you're like, what? Because that's how they look at it. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, the thing with that is, it's just like what you're saying before. I agree with what you're saying, and the fact is, if you go back and you just look at Muhammad in general, I mean, he was a pretty clever guy, and I mean, he married that lady that was older than him. It gave him, she had a business which gave him a lot of his money where he got it from, and then once something happened to her, I can't remember if she died or something. Then he goes and marries the I think, was she 6 years old when he married her?
Yeah, he married Aisha. He ended up with quite a few.
And then waited till she was 9, so he had a little bit, of patience.
He married her at 6, and this there's quote unquote some dispute about this in the last few years, but for the longest time, he married her at 6, consummated at 9, and
I mean, he waited a whole 2 years. I don't know why everybody's so mad at him.
Oh well, yeah. Well, it's just he's the soul of discretion and patience.
But like I said, you can talk about that all day long, because what happens a lot of times is this younger generation is the big deal. This younger generation is the main issue, because you've got the older generation of the Muslims preaching the Sharia law to the young generation, and they don't read anything but the Sharia law. That's all they know, and then they load them up and send them out, and all they know is violent. All they know is yelling at other people. And, if you don't like what I'm saying, you're an infidel and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, that's not really the way you need to be. I mean, a lot of the religion's not based on that, but that's all you know. And that's okay. But, you're leading a bad lifestyle.
We live in a country. I mean, we do have, in God we trust. But however, our government is secular. We try to keep the two separated with good reason. The church and state. The reason why the church is separate is so that we can have multiple churches. We can have freedom of religion. However, Islam is a theocracy, strangely enough, and that has no centralized, power structure. It's not like the Catholic Church. It's not even like the Orthodox Church, where you have
this
hierarchy. Yeah, it's a wave, and often their imams or their ayatollahs, they fight amongst each other when they have disagreements. Generally, if a sect has some agreement, they stay, and that's what the Sunnis and the Shias. But most people don't realize that the Sunnis and Shias go back to right after Muhammad died. Abu Bakr and Ali got in a dispute as to who was supposed to rule the movement at the time, and they've had basically that schism that has been just a feud that's been going for 1400 years, and on and off, hot war, cold war kind of thing. They let it go when they come to Mecca, but when they go on the Hajj or something. But even there's been pitched battles in Mecca and Medina for going back forever over this.
And it's always going to be that way, because like you're saying, they don't have any order. It's almost like in Saudi Arabia, how they have those princes on every street. There's too many chiefs, not enough Indians when it comes to that kind of stuff. And when somebody doesn't like somebody, they beat them in the street or cut their hands off. So
Yeah,
or tell them that they
they
raped
just
my
had a
wife or
they just had
something.
they just had a like a crucifixion for something just recently.
It's
This is
whatever
like
they
crazy.
can come up with.
I look at the it's an interesting world they live in, and that's why I often say if you want to come here, you best learn how to live under the Constitution.
It's
And
assimilate. They're not assimilating.
right, and people are like, well, you know, we have freedom of religion. Well, if your religion means tearing down the system that you're insinuating yourself into, uh, then you're anathema.
That's a conqueror. That's not a assimilator.
Well, it's like I mentioned to a buddy of mine who's, from London. He lives here now. I was like, see, and I'm even made sure to phrase it this way. It's like, it's not that the English have a problem with those who come in and assimilate into the culture, that respect and take pride in becoming British. It's the ones that want to turn England into the way things are over there, bring the Sharia law, refuse to assimilate, expect the British to become them. Those are the ones that can get the fuck out. And he was like, yeah, no, that's pretty much how everyone's starting to feel. And it's like, what they don't realize is they have ruined so much. Like, there was a lot of English for years that had nothing against them. That was like, welcome, all we ask is you assimilate. But now their goodwill, a lot of the English are starting to be like, you know what, you need to get the fuck out. You
Well,
need to
here's the
go.
thing. Like this has happened before in our country. I mean, with the Italians, with the Irish, with the Chinese, with Mexicans to some extent. However, all of those groups, they've had their kind of insular, neighborhoods and that sort of thing. And I mean, this happened with the Germans and with the Polish. They've had areas that were kind of theirs. None of those people, like, you could walk through those neighborhoods unless they were like crime ridden or something, pretty easily, and they're not going to cost you because you're like, if you're in the Irish area, they're not going to cost you because you're like Protestant. Do you see what I'm saying? And that wouldn't happen in a Mexican area. I've been to Mexican neighborhoods in the southern in the border states. It's there's some crime going on, especially now, but back in the day it really wasn't a big deal. It was just a lot of Mexicans, a lot of Hispanics in general. It was fine. I've talked to people who've been up to Dearborn, Michigan, that you got to be careful what you say in the street in Dearborn. And that's about our only pod of a lot of Muslims, because they're not quite Sharia yet. But I have another friend who is from London and another one who's from France, and said that there are areas now that I was in back in 2013 that you wouldn't want to go to now. You'd want to be really careful and you would really want to be careful what you said and what you did, especially at certain times, especially like Ramadan or something like that. In those areas, in these countries that used to be, very different not too long ago. And that's because they've had this influx and they have had no assimilation at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could talk about that all day long, because it's, it goes back to whenever that was first introduced with the Sharia law and people started really trying to push it and come in. I was going to talk about something positive real quick, comic related, if you wanted to.
Yeah, let's shift gears.
So I just got done. I'm really behind on comic books. I had a lot of stuff going on, and it's hard. Like it's even hard to have internet right now. But I've got. I just read Death of the Inhumans, issue number 1 from Marvel. Has anybody read that?
I have not. I've kind of dropped almost everything Marvel.
It's a new series that they just started like last month, and it's Death of the Inhumans. And I kind of wanted to read it because I really like the art style from the advertisements. And I thought, hey, this is something new, because they've been pushing Inhumans, and Inhuman series are not doing good at all. And I was like, maybe this will set everything straight. Maybe they're like resetting the storyline so that you can do something different, And like, I read issue number 1, and it was really good. Like you don't have to do. See, that's the thing they don't understand with comic books. You don't have to do something very crazy, okay? you can, just like I was talking to my girlfriend last night, I was like, they've made the same movie like 100 times. I was watching Death Sentence or something like that, and I was like, pretty much the same thing as Death Wish, pretty much the same thing as The Punisher, pretty much the same thing as that new Peppermint movie coming out.
Just
There's
basically
certain things.
a vigilante sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, you can do the same storyline over and over and over, and if you do it right, it works. Well, with the death of any humans, basically the Kree is back, and they have this like super inhuman, and he's basically the opposite. He's the yin to Black Bolt's yang, so he's pretty much the opposite of him, and has almost the same kind of powers, but when he uses them, the characterization and the way they draw him and stuff is almost like an anime, because he has like he has this cannon that comes out of his mouth, and he shoots like this disintegration beam instead of a sound like he does.
Does he literally have like a cylinder come out of his mouth, or is
his mouth, his helmet and his face is almost made into each other, and his jaw opens up with these teeth, and this anime like beam opens up and fires, and like whatever it hits just disintegrates it in that area, and he can do it almost precisely to where he can shoot somebody's limb off. When they're shooting him with a huge gun, he can just shoot their limb off and the gun falls down. You know, he's very accurate with it, and he's basically like, there's this movie with Kurt Russell called Soldier, where you had the
that's
old
good
soldier,
flick, man. Yeah.
and you had the new soldier that didn't have emotion. He's pretty much him. And like, even his symbol is Black Bolt's symbol upside down.
Huh.
And so he's pretty cool.
Is he Kree, or what's the deal with them?
He's an Inhuman, but he's like a supercharged, programmed Inhuman with no thoughts and no emotions. Basically, he's like a mecha Black Bolt. And it's the whole storyline was pretty much them getting the one up on the Inhumans the entire time, planned everything out, and then the first issue ends, and you're just like, Jesus.
Does he use Sonic, or does he use Sonic Wave, or what's the horsepower of him?
It doesn't tell you much about it because he's such a mystery. The character is, but Medusa kind of finds out more about him. Because he attacked. Well, I won't tell you everything about it. But he attacked them, and then she found out about, you know, kind of what he was representing and who he was with and all that kind of stuff. And so it was a very good issue, and I was very surprised at how good it was. And I was like, man, they need to. Like, I was ready to read issue 2, and I haven't been like that with Marvel for a while.
Who wrote it?
Donny Cates.
Oh, okay, Cates is okay.
And see, he can do those good stories like that.
Who's doing the art, you know?
You don't be crazy. You just do a formula that works. We're going to make a villain that's pretty much the opposite of Black Bolt, but scary looking.
Well, it's nice that they actually have a villain. That's good.
Yeah, and he doesn't play any games. Like, when you read that issue, I won't spoil anything, but there's major characters that die in that first issue.
Huh.
And it's going to be the ones that you like.
Nice.
I won't tell you who that is, but it's gonna shock you who it is, and they're dead. Like, I don't see any, unless the Inhumans have some kind of resurrection technology that I don't know about. I mean, it's game over for some of these characters.
And taking out Lockjaw, are they?
Well, I can't tell you who it is. It's just, I want you to read it because I think it's that good.
Because that would take away a whole other title. That'd be just terrible.
But I was reading it, and it's kind of like when you're flipping through a book and it's good, but you're doing something else, you know, at the same time. And then you flip and you're like, holy crap. Because you weren't expecting that to happen. That's the way that issue did that for me. And I'm not saying he's one of the best writers, but Donny Cates is doing really good so far.
I tend to be like this now because I don't like spending $4 a pop anymore. Or $5 or $6 or $10. I wait for a run to become, you know, a graphic, and then I'll, you know, trade, and I'll do that. So I'll keep an eye out and see if I like it. I'll flip through it when it gets into the trade. But it's good to know that they're actually Cates, and Cates tends to be, you know, serviceable as a writer. I think he has good moments. He's one of the few, in my opinion, that, you know, and obviously because they keep giving him stuff, he's doing quite well.
Yeah.
And he's doing a good job. But here's the thing: you said you like the art, right?
Yeah.
And this is the first issue. You haven't seen anything else.
No, this is the very first issue.
See, the one thing that I've seen with Marvel that really just drives me bananas lately is they can't seem to keep a team together. You know what I mean?
Oh, I agree with you on that. Cable is a
And
prime example.
if they could just keep a good team together for a full run, then I'd be okay. But I've seen like really good stuff, and then with the art, and then the writing's okay, and I'm okay with it. And then all of a sudden they shift to another artist. Sometime in the same book they'll have several artists or two artists, and it's just too jarring. I grew up having teams, people who put together something that when you read the whole thing all together, it was all one piece. It was this solid thing. And so I hope that they do that with him. That would be nice. I don't have a whole lot of hope for that because that doesn't seem to be how Marvel's rolling right now. But whatever.
Well, have you noticed how they've got this thing that they do now where they take one good artist or one good writer and they spread him out over like 4 or 5 titles, almost to the point to where you're wondering how they still have everything together.
Yeah,
Matt Rosenberg is a prime example.
Yeah.
He's on like 4 or 5 titles now,
and that's the problem. I think Rosenberg again. I think Cates actually is better than Rosenberg. I think Rosenberg is he's better than mediocre. Let's just put it that way. In my
he's
opinion,
above average.
He's above average, but I don't think he's unbelievably amazing. In fact, I'd say that if he became amazing, it would be stunning to me. He just seems workmanlike. I guess that's the word I'm looking for.
He shows up on time and turns stuff in on time.
Right. And so because of that, I think they're overburdening him. And I think because of the fact they pay them so shitty, he takes whatever he can get.
He has to take multiple titles to get what a normal one would get paid for one.
Exactly. And so he's writing, and it's going to burn him out. It really is. He cannot sustain this for years.
He's going to turn into Cullen Bunn.
A Cullen Bunn, or he's going to turn into, if he keeps at it, he'll turn in. And I personally, I think Slott and Wade actually have better ability than Rosenberg. I just don't like them in persons. Although I'll give Slott on that last Amazing Spider-Man, he did an okay job.
He had help. I guarantee you. There's no way he did that on his own. He had help.
Asshole. What were you saying there? What, asshole?
I'm talking to my cat. I'm sitting here.
Your cat's attacking you now? What up?
Here's my thing. It's funny that you mentioned Mark Waid. I did a video on Spider-Man Family Business, which was like a one-shot hardcover that I got for like $12 because I love Gabriel Del Otto's art.
Mm-hmm.
And I read it, and it was really good. It was like this espionage. Spider-Man's overseas. He doesn't know what's going on. He thinks he has a sister. Kingpin shows up. He gets his black suit.
This is Slott, right?
Yeah. No, this is Mark Waid.
That was Mark Waid. Okay.
And Mark Waid did a really good job on this book. And I think it's like what you're saying. I think Mark Waid could be good if he did one-shots and went home. Like, don't get on Twitter. Do these little one-shots and go home.
I agree with DNC when he says that Mark Waid probably has some issues personally and in his heart and maybe mentally, but he does have ability to write. I mean, he's got a track record. There's no doubt about the fact. What?
Kingdom Come.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and that's going to be on his tombstone. I'm pretty sure.
He should have retired after that.
But I mean, he shows moments now and again, very seldom now. The problem is he's so hamstrung with his own ideology now that I don't think he even sees the possibilities anymore because he's just mired in what's in this stuff that's in his head.
He's not professional. He doesn't know how to separate business from your personal life, and that's what these people are not being taught. They're being able to just run around, do what they want. At my job, I can't go into my job and start preaching pro-Trump stuff. Okay, that don't work like that. You can't just walk in there and do that. And I mean, and I shouldn't do that.
That's not a place for a bully pulpit. You know what I mean? You should do your work, and you should work with your employees and get along. And I mean, if you want to talk things over the water cooler, okay, but keep it civil. But if you're right, I hear what you're saying. Go ahead.
Tom Cruise is a prime example. A lot of people don't like Tom Cruise as a person, but I think he's a really good actor. And he did Jack Reacher, and it was kind of like his John Wick. It was his way back into everything. Got Keanu Reeves come back with John Wick, and he shows up, does his deal, and leaves. Who cares if he's a psycho? I don't care. If he does good movies, I want to watch his movies and go on. It's kind of like Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp's weird as shit, but he makes some really good movies. And he shows up. They put the makeup on his face, and he's the character. And
here's the thing. Like I've worked in that industry for quite a while, and I don't anymore. But each one of those guys have a reputation for especially Tom Cruise. When he's on set, he is a professional. I mean, he literally, that's the best way. And he does, he's a bit of a prima donna in some ways, but he's very professional. And he has been for years. He has his private life. He obviously has his religion that makes him kind of strange. But when he comes on the set, it's all business. And with Depp, on the other hand, Depp he's a much more of a eccentric character. But again, he have his abilities, and he has his process. And as long as you let him do his process on the set, he seems to be pretty good. Yeah. But outside of that, he has his own way of doing things. People don't realize this about a movie set. A movie set, it depends on who is the producer and running the show, and there's going to be a production company under whatever distributor or the studio. But that production company has, if that's not run well, then things kind of go awry. If there are rules set down that says, when they start the production and everybody follows those rules and things are being followed really well and the money is being managed well, things will run really smoothly. And all this is talked out between the director and the crew and the cast, and it works there. But the producer on top of that, he's the one kind of keeping things together. And he's juggling balls. It's really, people put a lot of stuff on directors, but when it comes to the producer, that's where you'll hear these horror stories if it's not done right.
Yeah,
all that goes back to what I'm talking about with these guys. They'll often work with the same production team or producers and people. Often that's how they get drawn in. They'll get cast, people know them, they have a relationship, and so for years this will work in such a way, unless they have a falling out for whatever reason. And then things kind of get a shake up, and that's often why you see, you'll see these A-listers just kind of go away because they've kind of lost the contact. Both of those guys have been able to manage that either through their agents or through their own network to stay there for a long time. That says a lot about them, even though they have their eccentricities. And so what you're saying is, because they're professional, they know how to work the angles. They've been able to navigate for years. The problem is something has gone wrong at Marvel. Marvel has definitely lost, and this goes back to who is running the ship and editorial. They are not setting down the ground rules like a producer would or like a studio exec would, and said, this is going to be how it works, or we're going to protect you, and you just keep your P's and Q's and you do your job, and these are the guidelines for the job. Those have gone out the window. You can see it. You can see the difference between editorial even 5 years ago than the editorial now. They changed. They did this big shift up with all the assistant editors being, we talk about the milkshake crew, but I would have no problem with all those editors being female, or even some of the higher editors being female. If they just did their goddamn job.
Yes, if somebody set the ground rules and said, we're going to come in and do your job, you're going to come in, you're going to be like all these other writers, because the writers that were there before them, the ones that set in all the groundwork for the business, they were businessmen. They were old school businessmen. They went to their job, they did their job, they went home. And they were passionate about it, which helped. But they did their job and went home. The problem is they need somebody to come in and say, look, come in, do your job, and go home. Don't put your personal life in there. Be professional at work. Don't act a fool. And that's the way it's going to be, or you can find somewhere else to work without being mean to them. But you might have to be mean to them and just set the groundwork. Because if Mark Waid come in and did his job, he could do things like Family Business or Kingdom Come. And it could be really good. These people have talent, but they're purposefully ill about, I don't know if it's the Trump election, politics in general, their lifestyle, what's going on behind the scenes.
I'm going to tell you something. I can pretty much tell you what the problem is. Since Marvel was acquired by Disney, Disney has not put the funds into Marvel Comics that they should.
No.
And so these people have been nickeled and dimed. And so what they basically have with editorial staff is a bunch of interns.
Yes.
And they don't want to work super hard forever with no prospect of making really good money. And the same thing goes with their artists and their writers. Those people aren't making very much money either. So they have nothing to protect but their reputation, but their quote unquote position. And this faux fame that they have, which is only within a certain niche.
They think it goes further than it does. Marvel doesn't mean what it used to.
No, not from that angle. From the cinematic angle, they mean a whole lot, but not from the comic angle. Because truly, what epic has been done recently that could be considered a classic?
That could be actually considered movie worthy.
Right. Think of one. Can you think of one?
It all mashes together. It's all so-so. It's nothing excels. That's why when I read that Death of the Inhumans, I was like, holy crap, this is really good. But it's because the mediocre stands out a lot of time when everybody else sucks so bad.
Well, and it may continue, and it might even get better, but the track record right now doesn't give me a lot of hope of that. And what I'm saying, though, is that the reason the editorial is so shitty is because they're not paying him anything, and the reason that the art and the writing has become lackluster is because the editorial isn't doing their job. Plus, they're not getting paid as well as they did back in the days of glory days. Mm-hmm. There's just not any infusion of cash. There's no investing by Disney in this wing of Marvel.
And there's obviously no incentive to do better. I guess when these guys do good, they're just like, okay, we're going to give you like 4 or 5 other books. But it's nothing like, oh my God, this guy's turning the business around. Let's give him the accolades that he needs, and let's put money in this. It's kind of like, oh, well, good job.
And I do think that it could be turned around, but then again, you'd have to have a man, and I'm using that, you have to have a person in the driver's seat that has some sort of pull to get money out of Disney to pay people.
And it's not C.B. Cebulski.
No, it's not. He's not the driver that you need. Personally, I always go back to Jim Shooter. He's the guy you need, some like a force of nature. This man that says this is going to be how it is, otherwise it's not going to work. And I personally think that Disney's going to make Marvel itself. It's probably going to dissolve, and they're just going to make it an IP farm. And it's really sad to me because the ideas, the new stories are just going to disappear. You might see stuff come out of maybe some animation or from some other entity that they farm it off to. But then again, the cohesion of the universe may just not be there anymore. I mean, in the similar way that right now, Red Sonja and Conan aren't in the same universe. It's just going to be that way. And that makes me sad.
They should have never sold it to Disney, because all that Disney got out of it was Rocket the Raccoon plushes at Walmart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the thing is like the reason why I think that a Marvel Cinematic has done so well is Disney's kind of left them alone. They got a good guy in there who knows Marvel and has kind of steered the ship right. But you see the other way, how Disney has gone, and they just kind of let things go to just hell in a handbasket with Star Wars. I don't think that Disney thinks of these underheads. I can't think of what the different companies, sub companies, as their ways to kind of just bring in people to their other properties, especially the stuff that really makes money, which is their amusement parks and that sort of thing, and then like merchandising.
They wanted stormtroopers at Disney World. That's pretty much all that came of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't see how the business sense is meshing with the creative here very well. They need to think creatively more often, and then infuse, because the creativity will foment the money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're losing that. It's just going out the window trying to find a formula to print cash, which is just stupid.
You can't do that. You can do that with Mickey Mouse. You can't do that with these other things.
No, you can't.
Well, it's like this. A lot of it is like you said, Disney doesn't have the right person at the head of the wheel, but it's not just that. Disney just doesn't care. Disney's like, if the comics are doing well, who cares? If the comics are not doing well, who cares? All they care about is the movies doing well. And if the movies are doing well, Big Daddy Disney's happy. But the minute they start bringing in all the social justice stuff into the movies with the start of Captain Marvel, you're going to see sales drop. It's going to start with Captain Marvel. It's not going to be anything major.
I did a Captain Marvel video on that, and it got a hell of a bunch of views about Brie Larson and everything. I mean, it's just, people don't want that. And you could do a Captain Marvel movie that was really good. Dude, get the guy that plays Castle to be Marvel, and have him have something happen midway through the movie. He gives the mantle to the new Captain Marvel, which called Carl Manvers. And,
I would just
to the end of the movie. She could do something really cool. I mean, he could die midway through the movie, almost like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and she doesn't know what to do. The Kree are attacking or something along that nature, and she doesn't know what to do. The Skrulls are attacking, and she has to just pull herself out of it and become a hero. And everybody would like that. But what it's going to become is, it's going to be one of those deals almost like Flash season 1, where it's just, you're good at everything, and here's your suit, and we got to get you to fight these bad guys, and here's some social justice, because I don't know if you know this, but she's a woman, guys. Yeah, she's a woman.
They've been trying forever now to make Captain Marvel basically the Superman of Marvel. You've seen the push. I mean, they've been trying for years, and nobody's biting. And now they're going to, that's what's going to happen here. I mean, she's taken the role of Adam Warlock. She is. And probably combining Silver Surfer and Adam Warlock, and this uber powerful woman that we haven't heard of in the entire run of the other Marvel films, which is like, where the fuck is she? Or where was she? I mean, really, where was she? If she's that powerful, she's been out in space or some shit, like working with Nova or what? I mean,
right?
The Nova Corps. Where has she been? And the thing is like, I'm not biting on that. I was fully down for Infinity War, but if they're going to fuck up the Infinity Gauntlet with that narrative, Feige, you can just stick it in your ass.
Maybe she was sleeping like Captain America was. Maybe she was cryogenically frozen or something.
Well, I mean, they can come up with a reason, but even so, I don't want this. I don't want a Superman character in the Marvel universe. I don't want that character.
Too powerful.
Superman. You know what I mean? And if you're going to get overpowerful, that's the Surfer. That's Adam Warlock. Those guys are uber powerful, but they're cosmic and they're cosmic characters as opposed to, you know,
Earth
characters, Earth characters. The most powerful Earth characters, you know, Thor, Storm, Magneto, the Hulk, and they have their realms of superpower, you know. And then you got the guys who are super smart. But I mean, are you going to pull in somebody like, or the Phoenix, you know, Phoenix? But then she becomes like a cosmic character at that point too, you know.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, you need to move into the cosmic realm and not, you know, bring a super character. Superman, he's his own thing. He's unique, and trying to make some woman. I mean, they've done that with Wonder Woman. She's basically, you know, the mirror image of Superman, even though Superman is still stronger than her, and everybody acknowledges that.
Oh gosh, you just started a huge debate. We're gonna have like fights in the live stream chat now.
Yeah, well, you know, whatever. I'm always gonna say that, you know, when it comes to physicality, it's just always
Superman could beat Goku. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
because what about One Punch Man? Come on.
They would be stuck in a stalemate. See, the whole thing is One Punch Man really. Like I said, it'd be stuck in a stalemate.
I think that there should be a good and a bad and ugly, scene. Somebody should do that with Superman, Goku, and One Punch Man with Saitama.
I don't know how strong One Punch Man is. I think he gets stronger as he fights people because he doesn't realize his full strength. But I don't know. We haven't seen his full abilities. I can't really. And he's also like that. He's almost like one of those characters that's an anti-anime, where it was that little girl that was in Dragon Ball Z, and then she was in Dragon Ball Super for a little while. I think if One Punch Man fought Superman, he would just negate everything, because I think he's almost like a campy, make fun of character that you don't really know his full abilities, and he may end up being as strong as Superman just because he has no limits to his humor and strength.
Yeah, I mean, and obvious, you know, that he has his own universe, and you know, the own rules there to One Punch Man and Goku, the same thing. You know, there's always this debate. You know, it depends on which Superman we're talking about, anyway. So,
if it was the Injustice Superman, he would probably kill him, but we don't know.
Well,
we don't know. I would like to see. I wish they did a crossover, and I wish the Injustice Superman would fight the regular Superman.
How do you think that would go down?
I think that because the reason I want that to happen is because the Superman we got right now is the Lois and Clark Superman. He's not the New 52 Superman. He's a little bit older. He's a little bit wiser, and everything. And I think if they fought at that point, it would be a little bit better fight, because our Superman would realize this guy is not a good guy, you know, and he's trying to kill me, almost like a General Zod. He's General Zod, and he's General Zod without being as intelligent as General Zod. And I think it would be a pretty good fight, because he would show up and it would almost be one of those doomsday fights where he would either have to change his mind, change the Injustice Superman's mind and show him an error of his ways, or like sacrifice himself, killing him.
You know, well, I'm going to kind of take a bleak turn here. I've always wanted to write a story, a what-if story with Superman, I guess, in Elseworld, where what if Superman had left his planet like Lobo left his planet, and like basically made Superman into Lobo? Because Lobo's the one that always speaks to me from the whole DC universe.
The main man.
The main
man.
But then, like, make Superman into like Lobo.
That would be cool.
I know. I mean, just think about it. It was just like, just the only thing you'd leave on him would be like that. You know, he'd still have kind of a similar look.
There was a '90s book that was kind of like that, where he was living inside of that miniature city.
Yeah, the one that just got destroyed by Bendis.
Yeah, and then he married that purple-headed chick in it instead.
Yeah.
And he had like a motorcycle and a huge gun and all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be just. I would read the hell out of a story like that. I'm just
because he had no superpowers, so he was basically like when he was in that world, he was just kind of slightly stronger than regular people, and he had like this huge gun and the motorcycle, and it was really cool.
What's the name of that city?
I can't remember it for anything.
See, I'm not a big DC. I've never been a big DC guy. I like Batman and I like Lobo, and peripherally, I read some other stuff, but I never really got into it. I never really have. And when Lobo kind of just fizzled out for a little while there, and then they
New 52
just butchered the shit out of him.
They turned him into emo.
Yeah. Emo Lobo.
But all right, guys. It's 9:30.
I'm gonna have to call it quits too.
All right, man. It was good talking with you too. I'm sorry that I chased off DC United. I didn't mean to do that. He could have just said, let's switch topics, and I would have done it.
I understand.
Stuff comes up too.
It's one of those. He's in the group chat, so you can easily let him know.
Yeah, I mean, there's no. If you feel uncomfortable about something, anybody
Next topic for the next video. Death to Islam. I mean, never mind.
Jeez, that's not what I meant at all. I just think some things need to change because otherwise, it eventually will. There'll be a time when things will be. It'll come to a loggerheads. It's inevitable.
Oh, I understand.
And we're watching that in Europe.
I understand, but I am calling the stream, and it's one of those. I decided to quit smoking today, so I want to get a somewhat early to bed.
Seriously, dude?
Oh yeah.
Good job, man.
Believe me, I'm dying for a cigarette right now.
I'm gonna light one up just for you.
I'm sorry. You guys have a good night. Appreciate the talk.
All right, thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime, dude. Later.
Later.